See the fluid coming out? Hey guys, welcome back. Going to show you how to bleed the clutch fluid on my Honda, and the procedure is the same on many models for these hydraulic clutch systems. Locate your clutch fluid reservoir and it will always be next to the brake fluid reservoir. I have a right-hand drive vehicle, so this is why these are on this side. The steering wheel is on the right side. If you are in the US or Canada, for example, left-hand drive, these two will be on the other side. I have timestamps and I will show you important details at the end of the video after I show you the bleed process. Here you have the max and the minimum level indicated. At any time during the bleed process, you should not let the fluid drop below the minimum level. Otherwise, you will introduce air into the system. From here, you have a hose that goes to the clutch master cylinder, and that is connected to your clutch pedal. On newer Hondas, you may not have a separate reservoir for the clutch fluid. You'll have a hose going from the brake fluid reservoir to the clutch master cylinder. In that case, too, do not let the fluid go below the indicated minimum level. Next, we locate the clutch slave cylinder. So you just follow the hard line coming from the master cylinder, and this goes all the way to the front over here. And that right there is the clutch slave cylinder, and we will be bleeding it from here. You should put some paper towels or a container underneath. The last thing you'd want is for any brake fluid to fall on to any painted surface. It will eat it up. If it does, wash it off immediately. We can speed up the process by sucking out some of the old fluid with a turkey baster or a syringe. And here is my syringe, a bit small, a bit of an oversight on my part, but it'll do the job.
One eternity later.
Finally, at the minimum level, don't go beyond this. I'm using a funnel because the brake fluid bottle is full and there are high chances of me spilling it. Just take your time and just top it up. Yeah, I spilled some, but I have a cloth underneath. But yeah, that should be it. Just place the cover back on top loosely and we'll begin the bleeding process. Remove this dust cap. If you've lost this, I'll have the part number in the comment section. This bleeder valve has an 8mm head, and I'm going to use a 6-point socket. If you have rust issues, use some penetrating oil. In my case, there's no issue. So this type of socket will grip it nicely. I'm just going to crack it loose and then snug it tight. I'm placing the closed end of an 8mm wrench on top. It'll make life a bit easier. Connect a hose at the end. It should be nice and secure. And I already have the other end going to a drain pan at the bottom. This is what Honda says to do. You need to have an assistant. So I have my little helper on the clutch pedal. Now, when I crack this loose, you should only crack it just enough that the fluid should flow out. Otherwise, you risk introducing air through the threads of this valve. Step 1, open the valve just a bit. Step 2, push the pedal. See the fluid coming out. Step 3, close the valve. And then when we release the pedal, you will see over here, the fluid will get sucked in. If the pedal doesn't come up itself, just pull it up. We'll do that again. Step 1, open the valve. Step 2, push the pedal. 3, close the valve. 4, release the pedal. The fluid has gone down further, and keep doing it until you reach the minimum level, then top it off. Keep going until you see clear fluid coming through the hose. Now this hose I've been using for years, so it's pretty stained and you can't really tell the difference, but you should not need more than 150 milliliters of brake fluid if things go well. For the last 1 or 2 cycles, to almost guarantee that you will have no air in the system, as the pedal is being pushed, close the valve. So I'm going to crack it open, push the pedal. So I close the valve as it was being pushed, release the pedal, and that should be it. To make sure that there's no air in the system, push the pedal a few times. So the slave will push the fork. So that's moving fine. So that's all good. Tighten this valve. The torque spec is only 6 pound-foot. So just do it a bit. Don't make it too tight. And that's it. Pinch off the hose, drop it under. Just wipe off any excess fluid if you see it, and just put on the rubber cap. Top up the clutch reservoir to the max level, close the cap, and you're all done. If you do not have somebody to assist you, you can do it by yourself. Get a bottle, fill it with some brake fluid. I've just used water here as an example, and use a small bottle. You don't need a big bottle. One end of the tube goes in here that comes from the slave cylinder. Submerge it in the fluid. The cap, you can drill a hole and pass the tube through this. While you don't need the cap, but this will help stabilize the tube in the bottle. Plus, in case the bottle tips over, the fluid won't come rushing out. The advantage of this is that you can cycle the clutch pedal a few times without having to come close the valve, open the valve. That's not needed because you will not be introducing air into the system. However, again, I stress on this point, the bleeder valve, open it just enough that you do not introduce air into the system. If you open it too much, air can get past the threads when you pull the pedal back up. You can also replace this valve with a one-way bleed valve. Concept is the same. In that case, you do not have to use this bottle filled with fluid because when the pedal comes back up, air will not go back through the valve. This one-way bleed valve has a check ball inside. It allows the fluid to flow in one direction and seals tightly to block flow in the opposite direction. Honda doesn't mention when to change this fluid, but it's the same as brake fluid, and they say to change it after every 3 years, and you should do that. Brake fluid is hygroscopic, meaning it absorbs moisture. So this is why you should change it on time. Your clutch and slave master cylinder have seals inside, rubber seals, and over time, this moisture can cause it to degrade. Plus, this can cause rusting inside the cylinders, so change it on time. For almost all Hondas, it's recommended to use .3 or .4 brake fluid, which is interchangeable. This will be mentioned on the cap of the clutch reservoir. Use any decent brand of brake fluid, and you should use a new bottle for the same reason the old bottle, unsealed bottle, will gather moisture over time. This is a 500 milliliter bottle, which is too much for just the clutch fluid, so you might as well do the brake fluid too. The hose I use has an inner diameter of 4 millimeters. I wouldn't go wider than this. If you're having trouble getting rid of air from your system, the clutch pedal is not returning on its own, there's a possibility you could have air trapped over here after the bleed valve. You may have to remove these two bolts to get the slave cylinder out. We're not disconnecting the lines. And be careful, when you're moving it out, do not remove this boot, otherwise fluid will come rushing out. Once this is slightly out, let the rod over here extend out and then open the bleeder valve, push the rod in, and that should help push the air back out. Secondly, if you introduced air by going past the minimum level of the clutch fluid reservoir, keep doing the bleed process and eventually you'll get the air out. That's it, guys. I hope you found this video useful. Do consider a subscribe. That does help the channel. If you have a squeak that comes when you press the clutch pedal, I do have a video on that, so you could check that out. As always, guys, thanks for watching.